Hi, Flosstube. It's Arlene here. It is Friday, July 25th, 2025. I think it's only been a few weeks since I was last here, but it was important to come on as soon as I could to give you a recap of Stitch NJ 2025. That is a retreat that I run. It happened just a week ago. And each day this week, I've been thinking, gotta sit down, gotta do a video. And you know how it is when you're away from the real world for a few days, 5 days, six, whatever it worked out to be for me. You come back and you need to deal with emails and mail and all kinds of stuff. But then you add on top of the fact that you were the one in charge of a big event and you come back with a whole lot of stuff that needs to be organized and set up. And anyway, I can't believe it's Friday because this week feels like it has flown by. But it was important to jump in here and share with you. So the very basics, especially if you've just found me, and I'm wearing my Stitch NJ shirt. This is a stitching retreat. This is now the sixth one that I have organized and hosted. The first one was in 2018, right soon after I'd found, about a year after I'd found Flosstube. This idea of a stitching community online and having interactions with folks, mostly through comments on videos, but into some Facebook groups, and whoa, okay. In the fall of 2017, I started to see videos. There was a retreat going on that I believe was called a Flosstube retreat, and back then, to my understanding, retreats were nowhere near as common as there weren't that many. And that retreat that was organized, I think it was in Texas. It just so happened a number of the Flosstubers that I followed and had started to become friends with were there. And at least a couple were doing some live streaming. They were on Facebook Live or Instagram Live. And I started to feel a little jealous. This idea of being with people. And so very soon after, I just started thinking about, well, could I host a retreat? At that time, there was a fairly large store, needlework store that definitely focused on cross-stitch that was about 30, 40 minutes from me. And I knew something like that would be a big draw. And I also, in general, I'm a planner. I'm an organizer. Like the idea of doing it, while it was all like, I've never done this before, felt doable. And so my first one was in May of 2018. I learned that as a school teacher, doing it nearly at the end of the school year was not a good decision. But even before that weekend was over, I had people saying to me, "You're doing this again next year, right, Arlene?" Because I think it made a lot of stitchers happy. So it has moved to July. I say this was my sixth one. I also say, but it was the eighth one I organized, sort of. I'd canceled in 2020 and in 2021, COVID condition, all of that. But I was glad to come back in 2022 and move forward from there. So I'm here to share with you a little bit about, a lot about what last weekend was and how important it was to me. It is a huge part of my, if I think about a year in my life, and there's things like I think in terms of a school year and the teaching that I do and so on. But if I think in terms of my needlework world, there's two big events. There's participating in Nashville, where I exhibit. Again, if you're new, welcome. I design under the name Works by ABC, and I exhibit at Nashville. And then the second big event is Stitch NJ. So there are pieces about this that I just hold very dear and that are very important to me. I try to make it a good experience. I think every retreat that goes on, the host, the organizer wants it to be a good experience. There's also something to be said when you've done something a number of times and you know what works, you know what to adjust, and so on. Retreat starts at 3 p.m. on a Thursday. The doors open and boy is there a rush. And it goes through Sunday. Technically, the stitching room is open till 4. Most people clear out in the morning, early afternoon or so. And there's always a small group that stay over at the hotel at Sunday night for different reasons. And that's always a nice little crew that shuts it down Sunday evening. So I'm looking at my list. Where do I start? Let me start with logistics. This takes place at the Hampton Inn Woodbridge in Woodbridge, New Jersey. That store I mentioned is no longer there, but Needlework with Jim, the evolution of that store, He comes and does a pop-up shop for all day Friday and all day Saturday. So there's definitely shopping opportunities, as well as an opportunity on Saturday morning for vendors, for attendees who sell things. Like you make project bags or you sell fabric. There's a few hours of shopping opportunities there. I know when I first, in that fall of 2017, and started to see these videos and people talking about it, and I remember thinking, genuinely, honestly, so people get together and pay money to sit in a hotel ballroom and stitch? Like, it didn't make sense to me. I could understand doing something like that if you were like taking a class and learning something new or something along those lines. But then I was watching those videos that were going on. I was reading comments and stuff, and I realized it's a lot about the community. It's about being with people who love what you love. And then it started to make more sense to me. So, some of the things that I love and that are very important for me when it comes to running my own retreat, I love to give a good bag. I always get stuck with the word swag bag, but call this as you, sometimes I refer to it as a goodie bag, sometimes I just call it the retreat bag. And this year especially, I found a bag that I absolutely love, a good quality bag, a large bag, so that every year I'm hopeful that the bag gets used beyond just the weekend. These are substantial bag. I mean, it's always important for me to have a zipper for all the bags I've ever given out, because if it's me and I have stuff in there, I usually want to zip it. And when one of my friends, and I think it was an 11 by 17 Q, she had a Q snap, and I'm pretty sure it was 11 by 17. And she said, "Oh my God, my Q snap fits in this bag." And I was like, all right, there's one person who loves it. And then I got lots of feedback that it was a great bag this year. But it's not just the physical bag, it's the things in the bag that are super important to me. Some of them are things that, again, over the years, I have some things I do every year, and some years I've added new things, and there's a great combination. One thing that was new this year that I loved, and I give full credit to a friend of mine who, back in the fall, we were together, and I think there was some conversation that came up related to Disney World. And she said, "Arlene, wouldn't it be great if we had like pins that, you collect, that you wear on a lanyard, like they do at Disney World?" And I thought, that is a good idea. So it took a little bit of, I learned about pins and different types, and needing to make sure that I found a company that I could work with in terms of the amounts that I needed to order. So each year I have done this retreat, I have a logo, and I'm already not in the correct order of things. Nope, I need to unzip this thing. Each year I design a logo that is for that retreat, and I stitch up a model, and then I provide, I got a little bumpy thing going on here, a copy of the pattern for everybody. And sometimes I've seen folks stitching it. I don't remember this year seeing any. There could have been someone in the room stitching it. So, and this actually, I think I shared how I have these little stands, that this is now my new, it's a little crooked, but you get the idea. So this was the logo for this year, and you could already see when I held this up that I have the bags made with each year's logo. Great, I have now thrown it on the floor. So when my friend mentioned this idea of pins, it's like, well, that was an easy thing. I can just go back and create pins out of the logos that I've created each year. And so this year I did get more substantial lanyards with the hope that folks will be able to who choose to hold on to them and reuse them from year to year, with Stitch NJ on it. And everyone got this year's pin, which was this guy right there. And then they could order and purchase the pins of the other years. And I mean, the theory was you get the pins of the years you've gone. I mean, I wasn't checking lists. I don't know what people chose to get. I think mostly it was that. When I first started this, and like I said, it came from this idea of the community of Flosstube. It was called the New Jersey Flosstube Retreat. You can go back in my videos. It's with it's a year and a few months since my first video. I couldn't tell you what number it is. So that was the first logo I created. And like I said, it was called the New Jersey Flosstube Retreat. And the second year, that was the logo. Now the colors of the retreat have always been like red and black with often white involved. And at first I was like working on these, creating them all red. And then it's like, oh, they're all red. I mean, yes, their original format was all red, but I decided instead to make a plan to have different colors every year. And that way it just kind of stands out, different colors. Like I said, there was no retreat in 2020 or 2021. By the time I got to 2022, I realized the community that I was a part of, that I was offering this gathering, was well beyond Flosstube. And for me, the Flosstube community is not just the people who make the videos. If you're sitting here watching this, you are a member of the Flosstube community. If you like and comment and subscribe, all the better. But to me, the community is not just the people making the videos. But I got into that year, and part of the issue was I had done all the signups for 2020. And then when I canceled it, I said I'm happy to refund money, absolutely, but I do plan on doing this again next year. If it makes it easier for me if you want me to hold on to it, but at any time you can get it back. And a lot of people had me just hold on to it. So again, I did signups preparing for 2021, and for concern about money and cancellation reasons, and the conditions that were still the requirements and so on, I made the, for me, very wise decision about canceling it in 2021. And I tell people, and I know I've said this before, it wasn't so much of, do we still have to wear masks and all that? Because I don't think you did. It was a financial decision. When you run an event like this, your hotel contract, because this takes place at a hotel, often includes you are promising the hotel that you will fill X number of hotel rooms. And I got concerned, I put out a survey, but I got concerned, people who canceled not coming to the retreat last minute, okay, sure, they would lose their money with me. But too many people cancel, and I would have to pay for hotel rooms. And so it was a financial decision, no regrets. But I get into 2022, and now it's felt a little distance. It made sense to me to hold on one more year to call it the New Jersey Flosstube Retreat. But I knew right around that, I was like, I need to change it. I need to kind of think about this in a more about the community, bigger picture. So by 2023, it was Stitch NJ. And then here is 2024. And I already showed you 2025. So I loved the pin idea, and there were a number of people who really got into it as well. So it was just a fun little addition. Name tags. I love to give credit where credit was due. A few years ago, I always do a post-retreat survey, gathering just data, like information and so on. And there's always do you have any suggestions or anything? And somebody suggested double-sided name tags. Because when you wear name tags like these, they tend to flip around. And I was like, brilliant. So these are now double-sided, and no one has to like worry about, well, some people put stuff in there. But anyway, it was a little thing that I loved the suggestion for it, and I made it happen. So in everyone's bag this year, in addition to their name tag, they got a project bag. And a sticker on the project bag with the logo again. And in the project bag were all sorts of goodies. I wanted to make sure I kept one intact to be able to share with you on a video. I do give out an attendee list. I just think it's fun to know where people are from and if they have Instagram or Facebook, Flosstube channels. Like I said, there's a pattern. I'm just going to jump to the first thing, the best thing. In this feedback, well, I certainly heard it as I walked around the room, but I definitely saw it. I've seen it in the feedback survey. This was an idea I had. This was new this year. I knew it would be a good thing, but it was a very good, overwhelming thing. I gave everybody a little fan. It even came with a little stand. And when 3 speeds, when I had seen little fans at the dollar store, and I like they were battery operated. And I didn't want to, like, if I was going to pursue this idea, having to get batteries and the whole, but not, took a little finding that they do have kinds that are rechargeable. So trying to find something that worked with my budget and that would be rechargeable and like buy in bulk. And I found these. And when they arrived, now I seriously, I promise you. So I forgot in a main thing, there was about 115 people there. That's about the size of the retreats. The place we have this at the Hampton Inn Woodbridge, it's a hotel that basically has just one ballroom space. And it's not huge. There are a couple, like I said, there's these couple of the rooms that we use for pop-up shops, but it's not like we're competing with a wedding going on down the hall there and a big convention. No, it's just one event that really could happen. We book out well over half, I think it's about 2/3 of their hotel rooms. So while yes, there's other people there every year, there's always other people there. It makes for, to me, like a good cozy environment. I mean, you can't say you're with 115 people and truly call it cozy, but I love the feel of it. I love that you come down, you literally pass through the breakfast area to get to the stitching room. You see people all around the lobby. I got myself off track already. The fans, so I was ordering these fans in bulk, and seriously, I had it in me that I was going to like play it all out for weeks and get them all charged. Like, to me, it would feel so stupid to give everyone a fan and it not already be charged. But they arrived charged. Like, I couldn't believe it. A little charger, so easily to done. And there were so many people that were like, this is the best gift ever. So I loved it. I loved how many people loved it. And it was a big hit. So everyone got their little fan. I definitely saw a number of them sitting out on tables. I never did find out, I didn't ask that much, if anyone came up with the charge lasts for X amount of time. I mean, there's got to be some number. But anyway, now that I'm doing, it came in a box. I need to kind of keep things out or else I'll forget what has or has not been talked about. Okay, again, I like to do things related to the theme, the logo, so I gave everybody this year, and they came with these, so I just didn't even undo them. A little thing of sticky notes. I know I've gotten things like this over the years, and I was like, okay, stickies, I always have stickies around. Over the last couple of years, I have found myself using these little size stickies in my stitching. I'm following a pattern. I know some people do the highlighter thing and that everyone finds something that works for them. But I've started using the little sticky notes when I've been in trying to keep track of where I am. And I thought, I wonder if some other people would like that. So a little package of sticky notes. I gave everybody, in addition to the sticker that was attached to the project bag, everyone got a sticker here and the general, the one that's on the shirts. Stitch NJ. I offered for folks to order t-shirts, both regular neck and V-neck, and also hoodies and zippered hoodies. So that was the what's the word I'm looking for? Not clothing. The you know what I mean, when events have shirts. That was new last year and it was a success, so I definitely wanted to do it again this year. One thing that has always been a part every year has been giving a needle minder. And when I go to retreats, I admit it's the first thing I'm hoping I'm going to see is a needle minder. There's a number of things that I use for souvenir is the best way I can say it. One of them is always a pair of scissors with a scissor fob. And my Stitch NJ scissor and scissor fob are downstairs, but that's okay. I have a partial thing to show you. But another thing is a needle minder that if we don't get it as part of the retreat, is there one that I could purchase that's related? Anyway, so I gave everyone a needle minder. Again, everyone got the pin for this year. Everyone got the pin this year. If they wanted to purchase the others, they could. And then what did I just do with it? It was in my hand. So last few years, I have made scissor fobs. And I, again, use this same logo. I put together these scissor fobs. So there's a little pair of scissors and a little heart in the Stitch NJ 2025 logo. And I got a pair of little red and black scissors, so the color worked really well this year, and they are my personal retreat souvenir scissors. You know, I wish I could make even more things. The idea of a handmade gift. And maybe people didn't realize that I spent the time with the chains and the pliers for beading and stuff. But it's my little way of giving in a concrete, well, it's all concrete stuff. I think you know what I mean. I don't have the skills to sew a little pin keep for everybody. But I could offer that. What else is in here? Oh, chapstick or lip balm if we're going to be all generic. 2 years ago, I was at a retreat with some friends, and as is often the case, hotel rooms can be dry. And one friend in particular was having such difficulty. She said dry lips, and the hotel was very much kind of on it, like on its own. Like there wasn't anything easy to walk to. If you wanted to go somewhere, you had to get in your car. And she went up to the front desk and do they have chapstick that she could purchase? And it was a whole thing about how expensive chapstick is from a hotel, a front desk. So last year and again this year, I've given everybody some lip balm chapstick. I put on a sticker with the logo as well. Like I said, I'm a designer. I give these pens out. And if you've watched my videos before, you've seen me talk about it. I give out these puzzle pens at Nashville. So Works by ABC. There's a couple little beads. The idea is, can you get the beads to one end or the other? It's a lot of fun to play with. I give everybody a pen each year. I reach out to lots of fabric and thread companies. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. But partially what, in very generous ways, I get some things to give to everybody. So this year, Threadworks sent a skein for everybody. Treenway Silks sent 2 little skeins. Two little guys. Weeks sent a skein for everybody. And Dinky Dyes had sent a lot of things. Well, I'll come back to all of that in a moment, but also some huge hanks. And so I cut up the hanks and gave everybody a couple of yards of silk from those hanks. So, did I get all the threads? This year, I gave everybody a piece of perforated paper, just because some people have just never used it, never had it in their hands. It's the kind of thing that maybe you'd get if you know you wanted to use it, but sometimes it's really helpful to be given something, and then you could judge for yourself. Same thing with the people who will say to me, oh, I've never stitched with silks before. But then they get some in their hand and they can just try it out. So I had perforated paper, gave everybody a piece of that. Started this a few years ago, and this is another thing that I think makes my retreat a little special. I know at many retreats when there's a finish, you ring a bell, and that has just become a thing, and I get that. I try to think of a short way to do this. Basically, I wanted something a little different. And so what I do is I give everybody a clapper. And there's this little piece of paper. It says, have a finish. Someone at your table have a finish, or someone in the room, give a round of applause. And so what happens throughout the retreat, you're sitting at your table and you finish and you show your table mates, and they start doing this, and then the room starts doing it. And many people will kind of stand and hold it up, but not necessarily. I admit it comes from a little place inside me that I don't want to go to the front of the room where there's a podium and ring a bell and have everyone kind of drawing their attention to me. But that doesn't mean I don't want a little celebration. So I have loved how this has just become a thing that is just a lot of fun to have your clapper always by your side, because you never know when someone in the room is going to have a finish. And then the last thing in here, and everything's all over the place, are some raffle tickets. And I'm just looking at my list. Let's go ahead and just talk about raffle tickets. So a big piece for me about this retreat has been a fundraiser over these years. I didn't have it at my first one, but started with the second retreat, and it's gotten bigger and bigger every year. There's a local no-kill animal shelter called SAVE, S-A-V-E. It stands for Small Animal Veterinary, I think it's like endowment, because it's just about the history of how the organization, it's a nonprofit that came to be. Anyway, when I decided to go a little more in on this idea of a raffle table, I decided that this was a great organization to support. And it has grown and grown every year. Just to give you an idea, just to kind of put things in perspective, this year we had 196, I am not exaggerating, 196 items on the raffle table. And a number of them, and I'm going to kind of show this, if I were like way more into it, I'd be finding a fancier way. But as this is a video of the raffle table, and sorry about the lights. Oh, come on, go away. Let me stop. Let me go back. There we go. I reach out to all kinds of fabric and thread companies. And so while yes, some send for something for the whole room, like those threads I showed you, what I'm really looking for are donations for this table. And then I put out a plea to all the attendees. If you have something that is raffle table worthy, sometimes you have a beautiful kit that you know you're never going to stitch. That's like the best example to give. But lots of other things as well, including, coming up, there's one woman over the last few years has donated a quilt each year. It was definitely a queen. It might even been a king-size quilt that she had made. And we're raising money for a good cause. I sell raffle tickets for in increments of $5. For $5, you get 6 for $5. And I work the room. Most people come with very generous thoughts about this. I also feel it is important, the spirit of community, in that I give everyone 3 raffle tickets. And I know for a fact twice, it may have happened more than that, but over the years, I know for a fact twice there are people who have not purchased any, they have just used these 3 and have won something. Some people talk to me about, why don't you, especially like the bigger items, why don't you turn it into an auction that you might make more money? And I will agree that a lot of times in auction situations like this, it might bring in more money. I just really like the idea of everyone having a chance. If there's 100 tickets in a bag and only one of them is yours, you still have a chance of winning. And so that's, again, it's all under the spirit of community. We went through lots of different colors of raffle tickets this year, which I thought was a lot of fun. You know, I walk around the room like, I got blue tickets now. Who needs a blue ticket? So, and there was just a lot of generosity. Just yesterday. No, you know what? Trying to excuse myself here. That was another reason why I wanted to wait till the end of the week to do this video. Because just yesterday, I went over to Save and presented to the executive director our what we raised. With 196 items, and all those raffle tickets sold, we donated to Save $6,525. And for an event with a little over 100 people, and you know, these were not $5 and $10 raffle tickets. This was 6 tickets for $5. I think it's a huge amount. She does too. This is the executive director. This is a level of nonprofit organization, or whatever you call it. You know, they do tiers of giving. Their top tier, they're like major, I mean, I guess companies, but major donation is considered $2,500. They don't have people walking in and giving them over twice that amount every day. Last year when we raised $5,100, I know I went up to the retreat this year. I hope we can come close to last year. I in no way thought we would surpass it, and by how much. So she was thrilled. Like just yesterday, I was there in the afternoon. That morning, they had just accepted in a mama and 6 puppies that had to leave where they were before. They also had another dog that was just kind of dropped off. And like she's saying to me, those puppies need vaccines. Like money like this could literally be used today because we have to get the vet over here to vaccinate those puppies. Things like that. So summer is a slow time for animal shelters. If you are anywhere and in so inclined, I just plant that seed. In general, animal shelters have a hard time making it through the summer. Donations are low, and not that many people are adopting. They want to wait till like school year and routines, we're on vacations and all that. So I just plant that seed if you are thinking about some places that maybe could use a little extra funds if you have them. So the raffle table was amazing, and I forgive me if I'm repeating myself. Yes, I brought many items that I had solicited donations for, but I give all credit to my attendees for at least about 1/3 of those items came from them. And we're talking a lot of kits, a lot of, there were some like out of print blackboard patterns. There were, I'm just trying to think, some people in a more, not typical stitching, but boy, is there interest in it. Like, friend Jen does candles, and there were specially made candles. Amanda has a family farm that does maple syrup up in Vermont. I'm almost positive it's Vermont. And someone who likes real maple syrup, that was quite a little jug of it that was sitting there on the raffle table. Like I said, there's like special stitcher bags, the quilt. Anyway, it's just so much fun to see the enthusiasm behind the whole project of a fundraiser. And hey, giving it out all is a lot of fun. So Saturday night of the retreat, I make a big deal about put your name on the raffle ticket, because if I had to read numbers of 196 items, we would never be done. But with names written on them, and thanks to a group of friends that helped me read a name, that person needs to get their prize. One of my friends hands them their prize. My next friend stands up to me with the next one. We were able to give that out in an hour. Like, when I tell people ahead of time, they're like, it's going to take forever. No. There's some other events that go on during the retreat. On Friday night, we have a pizza dinner party. I also have done something called 3 and 3, and I never know each year how many people are participating, and each year I find more and more. It's simply the idea of someone being a timer. It is not a contest. There are no rules. It's if you want to either start 3 new projects or just work on 3 different whips for 1 hour each. And all I do is I'm like, all right, hour 1 begins, and 5 minutes left, and a lot of people just appreciate that, little piece. Someone else is telling you how long to work on something, and you do it. Saturday, like I said, there's the vendor event, and then in the afternoon we play some games of left, right, center. It's a fun dice game if you've never heard of it. There's a smalls exchange, and then again Saturday night, the big giving away all the raffles. And a lot of those pieces are familiar to folks who've been to retreats before, like a smalls exchange or opportunity for vending for shopping. I like what I've put together here. I'm always open to hearing new ideas. Looking at my list, I've already gone out of order, but that's okay. Something that has gone on for the past, back to the bag, because I can't finish the video until the bag is empty. That's how I decide. Everything's going in the bag, and I'll take it out one by one. Oh, look here. So this is a flyer that I've put together. There is our group photo, 196 prizes, all donations, $6,525 raised for SAVE. Last year was the first time friend and I did a little collaborative project, and all right, I'm missing something. That's okay. So a friend of mine, Kim, Crafty Kim, makes project bags. And so she made this project bag, and I designed a pattern, and I forgot to bring a copy of the pattern up here. But what the pattern is for 3 little motifs that are inspired by the motifs on the project bag and the color scheme. So I have finished I actually stitched them on black perforated paper. It was just to do something a little different. These are stands that I got from the dollar store. Painted them black. I just have them attached by magnets. I didn't even get any fancy with them. So I love these as they came out. So the pattern and project bag collaboration was an opportunity for attendees to purchase, and a portion of the proceeds went to SAVE. That was part of the other thing we did. The pattern for these will be available as part of Needlework Marketplace at the end of August. I'll talk more about that in a moment. And what else? I am gifted with a number of lovely things, and just about all of them, I have no idea who gave them to me. And there may be other things that got pushed in another bag. I got this lovely tin, pins and needles. I like when my shit turns out cool. A beautiful, lovely smelling bar soap, a little bracelet, Stitch NJ 2025, and a candy of some kind that I should test because I've never heard of it before. Here's a little strawberry scissor fob. Here is a frog And again, if you were one of the people that gave these to me, I apologize. I can't identify people. I'm a little busy during the weekend. But I thank everyone so much for their kindness. And I know I'm putting on an event that people basically appreciate. A sticker, a sweet little pin cushion. I love this. I have one of these from another way. I've wanted to make them, and I just know my sewing skills are just not good enough. But it's for put needles in it. So, and is that there may be other things. That's all I'm seeing that fall under the gift category in here. And then the last category to share with you, as is the case at many retreats, there's basically 3 raffle tables, plural. I mean, there's the whole side of the room. Sorry, 3 tables. The whole side of the room that's raffle tables. Another part of the room that are brag tables. Just bring something to share, something cool. You know, we stitchers love to see each other's work. And then there's a whole freebie tables. And if you've ever been to a retreat that has a freebie table, you just never know when you will find treasures. You bring what you don't want, you take away what is there. And everyone might look for different things on the table. I just wanted to share with you, I mean, I don't really look for patterns. It's not, because I design my things, I'm not really usually, but I'm looking for inspiration, absolutely. Here's one thing that I just thought was fascinating. This, 1985, put out by the DMC company, and it was specifically about their variegated threads. Now, since then, many of these have been discontinued, but different variegated threads have come into play. What I just thought was so interesting was their description on how to use variegated threads. I mean, I just just look at their example about a tree or a leaf. You know, this is a variegated green, and if you stitch it stripy or just back and forth, sure, you'll get that, and hey, maybe that's exactly what you're looking for. But they have these details that I just thought this is really interesting to kind of help me think about variegated threads in yet another way. So, and I also found it amusing, this particular design. And again, about half of these, if not more, are discontinued. But if I was interested in it, either the pictures upside down or the numbers are upside down. Like the first row of numbers here that they're listing for you are actually the bottom row here. And it's the same here. I just found that kind of a little amusing. Another category, it's basically this, basically the rest of these fall under. I love looking at the magazines. I'm not so interested in, a typical just cross stitch or similar pattern kind of magazine. I like the unusual ones. I like when you find mostly older ones that have lots of interesting articles. I've seen this before, a magazine called Fine Lines. I don't know how long they were around. This one is from the fall of '96. And again, it's not so much patterns. There's some patterns, but there's also some really kind of interesting information. I don't remember if I've seen this one before, called Needlepoint Plus. And it's a lot of with canvas work, which is something I am familiar with, but some other things. This one definitely had more patterns than the others, but was definitely interesting to me in terms of, so it's not cross-stitch focused. I tried to look this up when it stopped being published, actually the Fine Lines as well. It seems like it was originally called Needlepoint News, and then it became Needlepoint Plus. This is, to my understanding, as I was trying to look it up, there is a needlepoint magazine now called Needlepoint Now, and that's been around for a while. But my understanding, this is not, it's just 2 different magazines. So however long this has been around. If I could ever find more copies of magazines like these, on freebie tables, I'd love it. I'd take them. And then these, I have never seen this magazine before, called Fancy Work. And really just interesting things. And maybe, I don't even think they have any patterns at all. One of them is just question and answers of things. Here's a little article about 19th century embroidery patterns. How to put together a Japanese frame. These are from 1984, the April, May, and July, August. If anyone knows anything about these, I would love to know more. It says on here, from the world of stitches. And I know, that's the name of a store. I know that I feel like it may be an origin of some larger, like, mail order thing. I don't know. If anyone knows anything more about these magazines, how long they'd been around, I'm just genuinely curious. I just think it's an interesting, it's a new find for me. And that is basically the stuff that I picked up from the freebie table. It's, everyone finds the things that they love and want to hold on to, and people bring plenty of things that they don't want anymore. So it truly is a treasure hunt. So I know I didn't say it's at the beginning, but I was like, oh, I don't know how long this is going to last. I'm just talking about the retreat, and now I'm looking. I just talked about the retreat for 40 minutes, which I didn't think I was going to. The stitching that I personally was doing, which was not that much because I was running around doing all kinds of things, I'm going to save to share with you when I am sharing some new designs. I expect at least some of you have the question, if you found me just by chance, or you're just learning about this retreat now, you're like, oh, New Jersey, summer, I could do that. How do I find out about this retreat? This is the clear-cut, easy way. Down below, there's going to be a link to a Google form. And on that form, all I'm asking for is name and email address. When I have information to share about 2026, which will be in the early fall, usually mid to late September, I will use that as an email list, and I will email you the information. So it is the best way. Well, that's one great way. The other way, there is a Facebook group called Stitch New Jersey Retreat Information, which is different than the registered attendees group. But I will also post the same information on that Facebook group. So you can join that Facebook group, but if what you want to know is stuff about next year, I promise you'll get the information, especially if you sign up on that Google form. I love bringing this to the community each year. I love that there are so many people who have a great time, and that's what's important to me. So now I have a big mess that I need to clean up, which is typical whenever you do a Flosstube video. The light just did something. Did the light change for you guys? Anyway. Thank you so much for being here. I say it every time. There are tons of Flosstube channels that you could be watching, and I feel grateful that you have chosen to spend this little bit of time with me. I will be back in probably just a few weeks because, as I mentioned before, Needlework Marketplace, which is an online wholesale marketplace, will be happening near the end of August. It is like an online version of Nashville. And I will talk more about it at that time, but I will have some new patterns to share with all of you. So I'll save all that stitching stuff for next time. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Till next time.